Today we will be focusing on Degeli's model of lesbian, gay, and bisexual identity development. However, in order to fully understand this model, we must first look at the historical context of society's view of non-heterosexual behavior and the theories upon which this model was built. When non-heterosexual behavior was first being explored, the research focused on identifying the cause in order to find a cure. In other words, homosexuality was viewed as a pathology or an illness. In the 1970s, the focus shifted away from the etiology to understanding same-sex attraction as an identity and how that identity is formed in individuals. Early models of identity development can be grouped into two categories: sociological, the models in which the focus is on the impact of an individual's orientation on their community, social roles, and societal stigma, and psychological, the models which focus on internal changes and the individual experiences as they come to identify as non-heterosexual.
In 1979, Cass developed her theory of homosexual identity formation, which was later revised to be renamed sexual orientation identity formation. It was based on her clinical work with gays and lesbians in Australia. Individuals move from minimal awareness and acceptance of a gay or lesbian identity to a final stage in which lesbian or gay identity is integrated with other aspects of the self. Let's take a look at the 6 stages in order. Pre-stage 1. Individuals perceive themselves as heterosexual, a preferred state of being as defined by societal norms. As one's self-perception changes with respect to sexual orientation, internal conflict occurs in self-concept, behavior, and perception of others. This leads to either movement to a new stage or identity foreclosure. Stage 1, or identity confusion. In this stage, individuals become aware for the first time that their behaviors and feelings may be identifiable as gay or lesbian. Stage 2, identity comparison. Once individuals accept the possibility that they might be gay or lesbian, one must learn to manage possible social alienation. Stage 3, identity tolerance. Individuals at Stage 3 have acknowledged their gay or lesbian identity and thus seek out other gay and lesbian individuals to reduce isolation. Stage 4, identity acceptance. The individual now has a clear perception of one's homosexual identity, but still has a tenuous or weak sense of self. Friendships develop with other gay or lesbian individuals, and they will also reveal their identity with select heterosexuals. Greater commitment to their gay or lesbian identity leads to a more stable sense of self. Stage 5, identity pride. In this stage, individuals focus on gay issues and activities, fueled by pride in things gay or lesbian, and anger at things not gay or lesbian, and also have minimal interactions with heterosexuals. Stage 6, identity synthesis. In the final stage of development, the strict divide between gay or lesbian and heterosexual worlds decreases. Individuals judge others with a broader view, taking into consideration the whole person instead of solely focusing on their sexual orientation.
Some criticisms of this theory include: many studies find more evidence that there are a number of patterns of development rather than one standard linear progression. Many individuals do not pass through the activism stage before moving on to stage 6, or identity synthesis. Researchers Whitman, Cormier, and Boyd suggest that women tend to demonstrate more variability in identity formation than men. Cass fails to include diversity in age, race, and ethnicity. The stigmatization of gays and lesbians and the strict gender binary do not hold true for many cultures. Cass's theory reflects the socio-political forces of the 1970s and thus may not reflect current social realities, such as increased acceptance of homosexuality in American culture. Therefore, the theory may not be generalizable to women, bisexuals, or people of color today. And finally, bisexual identity was often viewed as a form of foreclosed identity or a transitional stage within homosexual identity development.
Another model that contributed to the development of Degeli's model is Fassinger's model of gay and lesbian identity development. Fassinger's primary aim was to provide a more accurate model of the lesbian identity development. However, it was later shown to apply to gay men as well. It also addressed the criticisms of Cass's theory that activism or stage 5 was mandatory, and that it did not acknowledge that culture and context influence identity development. Fassinger hypothesized that there are 2 parallel processes at play in identity development: individual sexual identity, shown in green, and group membership identity, shown in blue. In individual sexual identity, the awareness phase is when one perceives themselves as different from others. The exploration phase is when they actively explore their feelings and attractions. The deepening or commitment phase is when one's sense of self as a gay man or lesbian is strengthened and they become more secure in their identity. And the internalization or synthesis phase occurs when one's sexuality becomes an integrated part of one's overall identity. In group membership identity, the awareness phase is when one becomes aware of others and different sexual orientations. The exploration phase is when one explores their relationship to the broader gay and lesbian community. The deepening or commitment phase is when an individual makes a personal commitment to the gay and lesbian community regardless of potential consequences. And the internalization or synthesis phase is when an individual internalizes their membership of a minority group in all aspects of their life.
In 1994, Anthony DeGelli, a professor in human development and family studies, developed a lifespan model of gay, lesbian, and bisexual identity development that is based on the idea that identity is a social construct that is shaped by social circumstances and environment, and that this identity is changeable throughout one's life. DeGelli felt that the social invisibility of sexual orientation, as well as the social and legal penalties associated with the expression of same-sex orientation, represent two powerful barriers to self-definition as gay, lesbian, or bisexual. This model takes into account the complex factors that influence the development of people in context over time, historical time. DeGelli identified three sets of interrelated variables that are involved in identity formation. Personal subjectivities, which are defined as the individual's perceptions and feelings about their own sexual identity. Interactive intimacies, which refer to the influences of family, peer group, and intimate partnerships. And socio-historical connections, which entail the social norms, policies, and laws found in particular locations and cultures, as well as the relevant historical contexts. This model of development does have several underlying assumptions: that sexual identity development is a lifelong process, that humans have developmental plasticity and are responsive to their environment and biological changes, that the developmental path is different for each individual, and that individuals can have an impact on their own development.
There are 6 interactive processes involved in sexual identity development in DeGelli's model. The first process is exiting heterosexual identity, when one recognizes their own feelings and attractions are not heterosexual, and they begin telling others that they are a gay, lesbian, or bisexual. The second process, developing a personal identity status, is when one determines for oneself what being gay, lesbian, or bisexual will mean for their life. DeGelli indicates that developing a personal identity status must be done in relation to others who can confirm ideas about what it means to be non-heterosexual. The third process is developing a social identity. In this process, one creates a support network of people who are aware of and accept one's sexual orientation. The fourth process is becoming a gay, lesbian, or bisexual offspring. This is when one discloses their sexual identity to their parents and redefines their relationship in light of this disclosure. The fifth process is developing an intimacy status, or achieving an intimate relationship with a significant other of the same sex. This process is more complex for non-heterosexual couples due to the relative invisibility of gay and lesbian couples in society. The final process is entering a community when an individual makes some level of commitment to social and political action. Not everyone takes this step, while some do at a great personal risk.
Since the development of DeGelli's model of gay, lesbian, and bisexual development, there has been a lot of research conducted on the topic which supports this model. Researchers have found evidence that sexual identity development occurs over a wide age range. Research has also found that the environment in which the development of identity occurs plays a role. For instance, it has been found that urban youth who have more opportunity to be exposed to the gay, lesbian, or bisexual community also tend to come out earlier than youth living in rural communities where such exposure is less common. Supportive families and friends have also been found to facilitate the process of developing a positive gay, lesbian, or bisexual identity. Research has also supported the idea that nonlinear models, or those not tied to chronological stages, are most helpful when examining sexual identity development, especially when considering the interaction of multiple aspects of identity.
There are many ways that colleges and universities can utilize the Gelley's model when developing strategies for creating more supportive campus environments. Institutions can implement safe zone programs, which are networks of individuals who identify themselves as available to support and have information to gay, lesbian, and bisexual students. Colleges can also hire LGBT affirmative staff to work in residence halls who are trained to support gay, lesbian, and bisexual students, and also confront acts of harassment. Additionally, colleges and universities can implement programming, curricular changes, support groups, and social activities that are visibly supportive of the gay, lesbian, and bisexual student community.
These are our sources. We hope you've enjoyed our video. Thanks for watching.